This week, Wawa opened their first interstate travel center, which came with a 24-stall Tesla supercharger station, which is the largest EV charging station on any Wawa property. Shell Recharge opened another standalone charging hub, this time in Houston. And IONNA opened the Fruta Colorado Rechargery on Interstate 70. Let's get into it. First off, I'm here at my local Pilot Flying J GM Energy charging station. Pilot Flying J had a very good week, opening 5 stations in some of the dark areas of the charging map. Let's go over these really quick. Massapequa, Illinois, Grand Forks, North Dakota, Decatur, Illinois, Williams, Iowa, and Matthews, Missouri. I know at least 2 of those have full canopies, so it's nice to see them continue forward inertia, and 5 in 1 week is definitely above average for Pilot Flying J. And headed into a holiday weekend, I was a little surprised to see that much activity, but there it is. And I would like to say, I'm known as a Pilot Flying J fanboy. I track their progress with enthusiasm, and it all stems from my wife and I purchasing a Lyric that came with free EVgo charging for 2 years. And I was just looking to see where I could charge my car for free, is basically all it was. And I heard about Pilot Flying J and they started to open the station, so I started to track it and make a couple of YouTube videos. And basically, that's it. That's the length and breadth of the motivation I have for this. But through the years, one thing that has become something I've appreciated about Pilot Flying J, and actually the 2-year free charging with our Lyric has expired, but I'm still very enthusiastic about these stations. And let me just kind of go over the reason why. I've been on the road a couple of times in the past month, and both times I wasn't planning on charging at Pilot Flying J. The price is a little bit higher, so I could find charging elsewhere, but damn, they got the station right off the interstate game really at a monopoly level. It's so nice. Like last night, it really stunk. I was cruising home. It was getting close to midnight. I was tired. I had a ways to go. I posted up to an 8-stall Tesla supercharger station at a Sheetz right off Interstate 40, plugged in, and I was only getting 25 kilowatts. And I'm like, oh, come on, whole station derated. And I noticed other people were plugging in and leaving really quick also. Tried a different stall, same thing. So the whole station was derated. And that's on a holiday weekend. That was a real bummer. And it was a nice station, you know, right off the interstate at a Sheetz and everything. And so I did what I knew what to do, which was unplug and go 4 miles down the road to the Flying J on Interstate 40 in between Raleigh and Greensboro. Plugged in, auto charge kicked in, and away I went. I was splash and dashing out of there in about 10 minutes on my way home, and got home a little bit after midnight, a little bit before 1 o'clock. And reliable, right off the interstate, full amenities, 24/7, 365 facilities that are always open. And it's, you know, canopies in most locations. I would say more than half locations are canopies. Not all the locations, not most locations, but more than half. And so all those things combined really make the experience for the people who are charging elevated. And I equate the higher price that they're able to command, because when I pulled into the Flying J last night on Interstate 40, there was 2 other people there already charging. And there's been a lot of shade thrown on Pilot Flying J about their price. But I kind of equate it to, like, if you're cruising down a interstate and all of a sudden there's a toll for like $5 for, you know, 7 miles, and there's heavy traffic, and you know, like, well, that's kind of high, and you cruise through there and you pay the money and be like, well, at least I got through the traffic. You know, it's a one and done sort of thing. If you're going to be grinding at these stations all week, and this is your primary form of refueling, it probably doesn't make sense. But if you're like me, you're cruising down the interstate and you need a splash and dash in order to quickly refresh with the big boy 350 kilowatt immediately off the interstate with full amenities, open 24/7, 365, they got the game. You know, they're definitely executing. And they seem to be successful because their project plan seems to be accelerating in pace. So much congratulations for Pilot Flying J. I am continuing as fanboy status for this project. As mentioned in the opening, the Tesla Supercharger team opened a 24-stall station in conjunction with the ribbon cutting ceremony at the first ever Wawa Travel Center. It's an 8,000 square foot facility, which is the largest facility that Wawa operates. And it also provides refueling for tractor trailers, which is the first time Wawa has expanded into that market. They also have places for trucks to park. I was at the event of the ribbon cutting and filmed it, and there'll be a separate video on Out of Spec Bits covering that event. Very exciting, very enthusiastic. They did a great job with the PR and the event team throwing together the exciting aspect of the expansion into a new market of where Wawa is now currently operating in that travel center space. And the Tesla Supercharger station is the largest EV charging station on Wawa property. Wawa has something like 200 locations with EV charging, but this one now is the largest with 24 stalls. Also, the Tesla Supercharger team posted a strong contingent of numbers with 7 new stations. Let me read through these. Patterson, California with 24 stalls. Connors, Georgia, 12 stalls. Minot, North Dakota, I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, I apologize. 8 stalls. Kingston, Tennessee, oh, I know where that one is, 16 stalls. Brooklyn, New York, 20 stalls in Brooklyn, oh, very cool. Ontario, California, 16 stalls, and Lombard, Illinois, 16 stalls. So Tesla's still doing a good job of accelerating their insurmountable lead that no one can catch, but everyone aspires to. Execution, execution, execution. Next, as reported by the EV Report, I believe is the name of the organization. On LinkedIn is where I saw it. Tim Hortons, in partnership with let me back up. So Tim Hortons, people are probably not familiar with the name. It's a Canadian fast food chain. They do have some locations in the United States, but primarily in Canada. In partnership with Canadian charge point operator Flow, announced that 100 Tim Hortons locations are going to be getting Flow Ultra chargers. Those are the big chargers that have kind of like the halo lights going around the top of them, and the long cables, and a combined 2 charger unit that plops in. It's a really nice looking unit. So 100 of the Tim Hortons are going to be getting Flow Ultras by 2028. And I did mention a few weeks ago, fast food chain Bojangles here in Charlotte is doing something similar with level 2 and level 3 charging at their locations. And I mentioned how the QSR, or quick service restaurant industry, really matches dwell time of EV charging very well. And so that seems to be what Bojangles found in their analysis, and why they're likely going forward with the plans to put in EV charging at their locations, because you take, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes to do a charge, maybe 30 minutes, and with that time you can go in and get a quick service meal or counter service meal. And so the dwell time matches very well, and it looks as though Tim Hortons came to the same conclusion, and so they partnered with Flow, getting Flow Ultras installed at their restaurants by 2028. Ayana opened their Western Colorado rechargery in Fruita. It's off Interstate 70 and has canopies covering the stalls adjacent to a Taco Bell. It's really nice looking, and they posted some drone shots into social as well. Additionally, Ayana announced this week 2 additional rechargeries are under construction in that same general vicinity. They're both west of the Fruita one in northern Nevada on Interstate 80. One is in Winnemucca, Nevada, and the other one is Carlin, Nevada. Both, as I said, are said by Ayana to be under construction currently. So that path going across the middle Great Plains and northern Nevada is pretty dearth, and definitely nice to see Ayana focusing there. They're going to get a lot of winds from people cruising from either Northern California into Utah and Denver area, or into the Rockies, or people from perhaps San Francisco going in that same direction as well, cutting the northern portion. Well, there's a lyric. Northern portion of Nevada, which is a pretty tough driving area. Next, ChargePoint opened a 12-stall station, which for them is about as big as it gets, It's in San Diego, right near the USS Midway Museum, which is the USS Midway aircraft carrier that's permanently docked in San Diego. And it's inside a new construction facility. And so for people who are familiar with that portion of San Diego, the address is 925 West G Street. So if anyone is there and wanting to go take a look, this new 12-stall charge point station, according to the Alternative Fuels Data Center, is now open. Now, sometimes stations from ChargePoint pop into the Alternative Fuels Data Center, but they're not actually fully open. They have to go through some additional commissioning. But at least if it's not fully operational, they're probably energized and the displays are ready to go. But probably you want to have a PlugShare person confirm before you rely on it for a charge, if that's where you're planning on getting your charge. Lastly, Shell Recharge opened another standalone EV charging hub. And again, they're charging the eye-watering rate of $2.50 for a session fee, just for the privilege of plugging in before even any kilowatts are dispensed. And then you have the privilege, after you pay that $2.50 session fee, to have kilowatt hours dispensed at the rate of 68 cents. It sounds pretty freaking pricey, and I'm not exactly sure what their thought is. I think, I may be wrong, but I think they are a little insulated from what the EV market is expecting as far as price, and they're unaware that there's actually a price war going on. Like, for instance, this is Labor Day weekend, and Ayana dropped their price to, I think, 28 cents per kilowatt hour for all stations in order to spur a little bit of good favor with the locals on a holiday weekend, because a lot of people are traveling, myself included. And it appears as though Shell has not gotten that memo, and they think they could charge whatever they want for these very large stations. And likely, you know, they're Instagrammable and they're big stations and everything. Very likely they're going to get people to show up there and pay the fee. But hopefully, as competition increases, their price will start to come down as well. At least that's my hope. Thank you very much for watching.